Hey, this is Mewa Bawumia Akwawa. Had the latest and hot news. Enamidi, Bremu, and so we are subscribed to the channel now. But more than say over subscribe. What they are say over click the subscribe button. Now, what barely notification. When I new video, be upload when the first person I would say a better be. After so, we are now like video, give us a thumbs up, Nafi. Share my offer for so now. When you be now one share now, when you also a Wagana memory. I feel you're here a semi abeto yapunoso, Yinti and Samuya Koso.
If some young man who is doing a small hustle and doing his bet has the police find just 1 million Ghana cedis in his house, he may be arrested and questioned where he found it. But a public servant who claims they have desilted the Odo Lagoon has all this money in their home. Whether they killed people to get that money, whether they did blood rituals to get that money, whether they stole that money from government, whether they took that money as bribes, or whether they have a cloth manufacturing business that gives them that money, or whether they have a brother who was a shoemaker who made the greatest shoes in all of Africa, so he earned all that money and gave it to them. Nobody is able to question them about it or prosecute them about it. We are a nation of stupid.
The president thinks that...
And here I want to speak to the young people.
I think you're missing
I will come to that.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Sorry.
I want to speak to the young people. Seek people who are honest first, modest next, and classy or stylish as well. But it's the honesty which is most important.
Modest,
classy or stylish.
Right.
Because
that should be the last consideration.
That is not a major consideration because too many people, of my 3 key things in my mantra, which is excellence, eloquence, elegance, essentially excellence in my occupation, eloquence in my communication, and elegance in my presentation, most people are more riveted by my presentation. They are not interested in the wisdom. But wisdom is necessary. If you see anybody who is confident, it is because they are competent. If they act as though they were confident but are not competent, they are merely arrogant. It is your competence that grants you your confidence.
Right.
What is my career? My work is essentially media and communication management, brand management, and then culture and tourism curation and promotion. So in this particular line of work, wherever I go in the world, I will compete with the greatest thought leaders. I want to be a giant like Kwame Nkrumah was in life, and even more so after he's dead and gone. Those who criticize him, you have a right to criticize him. But no matter what you say about lions, they don't eat hibiscus flowers.
Okay.
Now to your question, the size of government.
That's right.
If China, with this great population, has only 20 ministries, we are a very foolish nation if we allow any one of our citizens who we elevate into a position of authority to appoint anything more than 60 ministers, because I tell you, we can run this country with 26 ministers. We can run this country with 40 ministers. But do we need that many ministers if we are also going to have district chief executives and constituency chief executives?
I remember when the president was asked this question.
It's nonsense.
He said he knew what he wanted. He's a man in a hurry and he's not bothered about the size of
government. A hurry where? A hurry to plunder the nation. And it saddens me because Godfrey Dame is my younger brother, looks very much like me.
That's right.
As you can see, I love him to bits. And it breaks my heart that as Attorney General, I don't think there's anything that he can decide to prosecute without the blessing of the president.
Why do you say that?
See, he who appoints can disappoint. The president can decide to revoke any authority at any point in time. Why can we live in a country where if some young man who is doing a small hustle and doing his bet has the police find just 1 million Ghana cedis in his house, he may be arrested and questioned where he found it. But a public servant who claims they have desilted the Odo Lagoon has all this money in their home. Whether they killed people to get that money, whether they did blood rituals to get that money, whether they stole that money from government, whether they took that money as bribes, or whether they have a cloth manufacturing business that gives them that money, or whether they have a brother who was a shoemaker who made the greatest shoes in all of Africa. So he earned all that money and gave it to them. Nobody is able to question them about it or prosecute them about it. We are a nation of stupid.
The president thinks that
we are a nation of stupid. No, like I said, when we elevate you into a position of authority, you do not have dominion over truth. Truth is the ultimate power. Are you truthful?
This concept of Minister of State at the presidency, minister with that portfolio, ambassador,
it's nonsense. It's jobs for the boys, and that I stated this with clarity over 2 years ago, before I got my badge of honor when GBC said they had banned me from speaking. The company that we made into something that people listen to and watch says it bans me for speaking the truth about a thief in government. People who said yet sitsika accommodate. But once they get into government, they decide, let's borrow and borrow and borrow. And then one day I decide, I'm busy doing my research for my PhD, but I'm just going to look at all these documents, this thick. And then I find, oh, it is because for every $100 million we borrow, the Minister of Finance makes $9.8 million. And Ghanaians are not outraged. Ghanaian boys and girls, young men and women are not outraged. And whenever you raise it, your friends in the MPP keep quiet. And I told them, if 100 policemen know full well that they are all very honest, but 4 of them are criminals, aiding people to kill people in the Kaswa area every day, and they are silent about it, then all the 100 policemen are criminals. So, I have good friends in the MPP who I believe to be honest. Some of them rose up and said, Ofori Atta must go.
That's right.
And immediately they were silenced. And some of them have had people campaign against them, so they have lost their seats. Because in Ghana, the campaign is about how much money you can spend. It is a fact.
That's right.
Professor Jampo has spoken about that too. We have monetized our elections because some people are so poor, they will sell their teeth if they have to and drink only cocoa. And those are the people who will take a t-shirt and a can of sardines or a chamber pot and vote for you. But my advice to you people is, if you are honest, don't take the money of the corrupt. But even if you would take the money of the corrupt, pray over it, and still don't do the will of the corrupt.
Galamsey, you read Professor Frimpong-Boaten's report.
People must be shot and killed. I'm telling you.
Really?
People must be shot and killed for Galamsey. If the government will not do anything about it, because the government is actually the enabler of Galamsey, according to Dr. Frimpong-Boaten's report. And according to the fact or fiction of the Agyapadie document, then people will have to be shot and killed.
By whom?
Ahimfie police. You are the curators of the land. You hold the land for the people of your society. If you can bring gold out of the ground, and that gold goes to only a few people, and that gold does not go through the PMMC, so it does not even help to strengthen the city. And that gold dissipates into thin air, but for a few stupid people who buy a few cars to chase the daughters of the poor and left over. Then what are we doing but singing the song of Bob Marley? In the abundance of water, the fool is thirsty, rat race. You're bringing gold out of the ground, but now your water is filthy. So I call on Water and Sewerage. Now it's Ghana Water Company
Limited, yes.
The reason I say Water and Sewerage is now the water looks like the sewerage. Even in Tema, a city put together by the first president of Ghana, in the same way as Boakye Agyapong put together than someone. In the same way as everybody has come to do something. This city, I fetch water in a white Yaz bucket and I leave it for only 3 days. And you can see the gunk at the bottom of the water. So I can afford to buy bottled water, spring water, sparkling or still. But what about my neighbor? What about my plumber's daughter? What about my carpenter's son?
3FM,
what about my electrician's family? Should they drink dirty water because of galamsey? Should they drink poison because of a few selfish and greedy people? We don't have a government because the government is overseeing the plunder of Ghana. And every young man who disagrees with me, go and find your father if your mother has not shown you who he is, and ask him, is Nana Kwesi Kyei Dakwa telling the truth?
Would you take a governmental appointment?
By who? I will not take the appointment of somebody I see to be a thief, because I did not come into this world to be the appointee by bootlicking. I'll be an appointee by honesty and competence. And the truth is, if you work in Korle Bu as a doctor and you rise to become a specialist and you are competent and confident and build a decent network around the world and can tell the truth, maybe one day you would like to head Korle Bu. But would you like to head Korle Bu when you have a minister who can sit there and watch as a contract is given to a Nigerian company to collect monies from Ghanaians who are coming home, as well as foreigners? Even when the COVID whatever has ended, and nobody can account for how much government made from those monies.
$150 per person.
And nobody can account for the quantum of how government made and spent those monies. So somebody says, oh, KKD, and the way you are speaking, it is going against the MPP. I'm sorry if it is going against the MPP, because I speak not of the MPP. I speak only of the corrupt, the unethical, the liars, and the thieves. And every young man in Ghana follow the money. Ghana's money comes from 3 key sources.
Hot news all time.
Your biggest used to be the Customs, Excise, and Preventive Services. Right. Now it is the Ghana Revenue Authority.
Right.
Another one where Ghana's money really comes from is the National Lottery Authority. And then other ones where Ghana's money comes from is our mines and our farms. Follow the money. Ask questions. Seek answers. And when in doubt, leave it out. But ensure that before you trust, you verify. Never trust those you cannot verify. That you judge the king by his courtiers.
Correct.
So if the courtiers are at post, who do the egregious, who do the odious, and who do the callous and malicious, then that is the character of the king.
But we have the men.
I try not to parrot the words of fools. And you should cease and desist in the words of Blay, whose wife stole beer when she was PR manager at ABC Brewery Limited and has been awarded a position as an ambassador. Yeah, I speak of Daily Guide. Publish it. Your wife was sacked for stealing beer at ABC Brewery Limited, and she's been awarded an ambassador.
The ABC
Brewery Limited, where I was advertising manager.
Right.
Where Michael Vass was the marketing manager. Where Bruno Rao, Michael Vass was the managing director, and Bruno Rao was the marketing manager. Look, we live in a country where everybody knows everybody. A beer thief, a common thief, sacked for thievery, represents Ghana as an ambassador.
I see.
You know, and we all sit down and we tickle ourselves in the armpits and laugh. Yeah, this is a fact. I was working there. There was staff there. You know, and sometimes
there was an investigation.
Please. And then they try to get the managing director deported. For what? No, but Germans don't take that nonsense.
But this allegation is a serious.
It's not allegation. It's a fact. What do you mean allegation? Do I look like somebody who does allegations? I'm the one that people allege things against. I state facts.
I see.
Why? There are people from ABC Brewery who are still alive. I mean, we live in a society where we are divided along the lines of party. So, if somebody has done something wrong in your party, you don't speak about it or you defend them. If they've done something wrong in another party, then you speak about it and you defend them. I don't have a party. My party is Ghana, my motherland. And we must all work towards ensuring that the best elements of our society are the leaders. We may have made a mistake to elect some people, and they also may have made a mistake to appoint some people. But this nonsense must stop.
At what point?
Now. Everybody who has been named in the Agyapadie document, whether it is fact or fiction, whether it is written by a wicked person who has told people who wrote that document or who implemented that document, that if you want your children to succeed, give them water from a gutter to drink in the morning. Give them kerosene to drink in the afternoon. Make sawdust and chicken poo and feed them with it in the evening. And then after somebody has said those things or written those things, you implement them. Who is the fool?
Let's get into very...
Just before you go there,
right.
You remember how when I was falsely accused, Daily Guide was so strong in doing nasty stories on me.
Right.
So I just sent one person to tell the man and his wife that the next thing you write about me, I'll tell the world about your petty thievery.
Right.
Why do people want to pretend that everything is kosher when we know that it is not?
So it was when you sent somebody there that the reportage stopped, or what? Because we don't have that.
I do not know.
We don't have that, know. Because we don't have that.
And then you remember when my son said he was trans. Oh, they were also very strong on it. And then I reminded them again, and then they shut up. But I realized...
But we don't have that. We don't have the benefit of that report as a media house.
You don't have
we can't independently verify.
No, you can independently verify. Go back into ABC records.
No, at this particular time. Yes, at this particular time.
You can always... No, I am not... You see, I don't speak on TV or radio and withdraw. I was raised by wise parents.
Right.
I speak truth. And I am not afraid to speak truth. In President Mahama's era, when they said a confirmed flew out of Ghana, and I spoke about it, was I NDC or MPP?
You were Ghanaian.
In President Rawlings's era, when there was a petrol shortage, and I spoke about it on radio and I was taken off air at GBC, that I do not understand why when there is a petrol shortage and people driving Beetles cannot even get petrol for their cars, some people in government are driving Pajeros. Why aren't they driving smaller cars that consume less? Was I MPP or NDC? You see, my brother, how much are we going to eat, wear, and enjoy before we die? And how much is enough? Really, how much?
Do people threaten you?
Oh, plenty.
What do they say?
The last one, my pastor called me and then he says, Kwesi, and then I burst start laughing. And he says, "She, menoka, serious matter, obviously." And then he said it in English actually. And then I said, Osofo, aren't you the very man who says when we die we'll go to heaven? Why aren't we in a hurry to die and go to heaven? So he asked me, where is this your courage from?
Right.
In fact, Sixtus also sent me a text this morning to ask me that question. I think, let me see if I can find the answer I sent to Sixtus Dongulo. And I've told Sixtus that he needs to be on radio or television because he cannot use that voice just for seducing his wife at home. He should use it for work. He should put it to the use.
He actually joins us in the morning for the news review segment.
I like that. He has a lovely voice, beautiful voice. And I want to read what I sent to Sixtus because I have forgotten exactly what I wrote. Sometimes I write stuff and I realize later that it is not my power that wrote what I did. Okay, so Sixtus says, I associate with the question, where do you get your courage from? Because I think Mugabe Mase also asked me that question. Right. And my answer to Sixtus is,
my dear brother Sixtus Dongulo, how are you? This question, dear, I don't know if I have to write a thesis or I have to answer with electives. But really, I think everything we are is actually a bundle of gifts and an accident of genes. So the genes of my parents and my grandparents before them are part of it, and then the upbringing is part of it, because we were taught to speak our minds as children. My father would raise an issue and expect you to speak your mind on it, you know, and in doing so for years you gained a certain competence in responding to questions properly, and with that competence you gained a certain confidence, and then with that confidence you gained courage.
Was it clear?
Yeah, clear enough.
So that's what I still think that's what it is. It all starts with the accident of your genes, because if you were born to cowards, you can determine to become courageous, because we're two young men born to the same family. They all had the same father, right, who was an unapologetic drunk. And one of them became a more unapologetic drunk, and the other never drank. So one day they were asked, they all went to the same college, and the dean asked them, how come you don't drink, but you drink? Now, the first one to answer the question was the drunk. He says, I drink because my father was a drunk, and he bequeathed his genes to me. And the other said, I don't drink because my father was a drunk, and I learned from him, because there are only two types of learning, right, what to do and what not to do. So young people, look at every government from Kwame Nkrumah's time to date. Every one of them made some errors, but some people did more good than evil, and learn what to do and what not to do.
You're waiting for Winnie and someone Koso. Now, so we are subscribe to the channel now, but more say over subscribe. Now, feel so while like video no, now feel share my offer for so now when you be here now when you echo. Also, betting actually what you have for a year and somewhere now, I will comment box in my next video.
Thanks for watching. Like and share the video. You can also drop your comment. Please don't forget to subscribe. Click on the bell to turn on the notification.